Is Abdiel. It's a Havencraft legendary. It's a 3-player 3/3. It has ward, so I guess there's ward support. It says Fanfare, enhance 6. Give your leader the following effect. Once on each of your turns when you play a Havencraft follower, recover 1 Evo point. And then on Evo, she gets no Evo stats, still has ward, and says banish an enemy follower or enemy amulet. Okay, so this card is good, and it's got a bunch of like good things, right? So for starters, it's like a 3/3/3 ward, which is fine. If you Evo it, although she gets no Evo stats, she has a very strong Evo effect. Banishing a follower or amulet is just very strong. You can deal with like factories, sanctuaries, any annoying amulets, things like that, or followers, deny last words. Like, it's a full answer basically, right? And then on top of that, if that wasn't good enough, she gets an enhance, which is pretty strong. If you pay an extra 3 play points, you get a leader effect. Leader effects are very good, and this leader effect is not a bad one. So once on each of your turns when you play Havencraft follower, you recover a play point, an Evo point. So it does force you to play Havencraft followers, but you're Haven, so that shouldn't really be like a big detriment anyway. And then every turn, you essentially get an Evo point back, meaning that, let's say you're going first or second, really, doesn't matter. Like, you can Evo on turn 4, 5, 6, and then because you have the leader effect, when you play a follower on 7, you can Evo on 7, play a follower on 8, Evo on 8. So basically, you could Evo the entire game every single turn, and that's pretty strong, you know? Whether that be because you're proccing Evo effects like this one, or just push an extra damage, get an extra rush. Like, Evoing is very good, right? It never goes wrong. Evo is always good. So, this seems like a good card. I don't know exactly where it's going to end up going. Whether Ward Haven, if that's the thing, wants to play this. Or like Sanctuary, Amulet, something like that. I mean, just a generically good Haven card. And, it just seems alright. Decent art, good card. Haven's good. Maybe it's some sort of Evil Haven deck. Sure, there could be some crazy shenanigans there, right? Maybe Evil Haven becomes like a real ass deck. I could see it. Sherry in the chat, how's it going? Okay, our next card is the one that we revealed in the SBO. It's Lieselotte. I don't know how you guys would want to say this card, but I just want to let you guys know that I was told they were very adamant that we call it Lieselotte, so that's what I'm going to call it forever. So Lieselotte, Lady Scarlet, it's a Bloodcraft, 2-player legendary, 2/2. Fanfare, if Avarice is active for you, can Evo for free. At the end of your turn, if you have Vengeance, deal 3 damage and restore 1 to your leader. On Evo, she gets full Evo stats, and then you activate Vengeance till the end of your next turn, even if you have more than 10. And she still has the effect. So it's one of those blood cards, like I talked about in the broadcast, where like, it's a well-statted 2-drop, full stats, and it has a bunch of effects. Like if you're in Avarice, you get a bonus. If you're in Vengeance, you get a bonus. And then on Evo, it gets a bonus. So basically, it's got a bunch of benefits with no real drawback. Being able to fake Vengeance is pretty strong. Because you could, you know, play her, Evo her, have Vengeance this turn with whatever plans you have left over. And then still be in Vengeance for next turn. That's good. And if you Evo her, it means you are in Vengeance. So the end of turn effect is always going to activate. So you get in a 4/4 rush that's going to activate your Vengeance, and then you get in 3 random damage to every follower, and you're healing 1. Like, all that stuff is pretty good. In the mid to late game, you can Evo her for free as well. So I don't know, it just seems good. Just seems great. Like, everything is a positive. Again, I'm not sure exactly what blood deck is going to really utilize this best. Maybe it goes in Evil Blood, it does have Evo synergy. Maybe in Vengeance Blood, maybe in Avarice Blood, I don't know. But it definitely seems like a good Shadowverse card, that's for sure. It's just not a good Bolted card. It's like maybe the one, it's not really a good Bolted card, right? But otherwise, any other blood deck is probably happy to have this. I don't know, we'll see. You can place an Epitaph, Ball, or Evil Blood. Yeah, something like that. Like a more balanced Seductress. I mean, being able to fake Vengeance is pretty scary. We'll see, you know, if they keep printing more Vengeance support cards, what that could look like. This is good with Skull, yeah, for sure. Like, some cards, being in Vengeance does matter quite a bit. Our next card is Milika, Celestial Seer, Runecraft Legendary, 2-player 2/2. Says during your turn, if this card is banished from your deck, use an effect, it goes into your hand. So for all the like, you know, 20 or less, you banish cards from your deck. Well, if you happen to hit this, then you draw it, which is just good. It's in your deck, it doesn't hurt you, and then you draw a free 3-drop, which is good. She has ward, and then if you have 20 cards in your deck, you banish 2. Otherwise, she gets +2/+2. So you could play her and then, you know, keep banishing so you get to 20. Or if you are at 20, you're playing a 2 play point 4/4 ward. And again, it's being added to your hand if it gets banished from the deck, which is nice in case you need it. It's not the most like exciting card, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad card. It's just not super flashy. I almost wish they swapped this with the gold. I feel like the gold should have been the legendary and then this should have been the gold. I don't know how good 20 or less is going to be, but they keep printing more support for it, and you know, this is one of it. Seems alright. And this will never be if you're 10 or less artisan archetype without some sort of gimmick. Yeah, like they just can't actually balance it like that. It just doesn't work, right, Spirit? Because like so much of Shadowverse is designed around like you can kill your opponent from like, I don't know, 5 to 10 damage. So like Vengeance just sucks if it's like you can't be in 10 life for multiple turns. It just doesn't work. She's sitting on an exercise ball. Yeah, she's not a Reincarnation, she's just like a generically good card, I guess. The gold I like a lot better though. The Pyrotechnic Witch is the Runecraft gold. 3 play and 2/3. Says fanfare, put a random Runecraft follower from milling to your hand, which is just good. Like 3 play and 2/3 draw a card is good, except you Tyrant something specific, which is better. And then if you have 20 cards or less, you draw 2 instead. But they must have different names, and on top of that, you subtract 1 from their cost, and that is insane. So basically, you know, by drawing a card, you're thinning out your deck, so you get to 20 or less faster. You're drawing Runecraft Followers, which is good, because you want to draw your ants and your grass. And then if you are at 20 or less, well, you play this for 3, you draw 2, so potentially ant and grant, and then they both cost 1 less, which is insane. So a lot of times the 20 or less is gated by their play points, because you know you turbo it out to 20 or less, but you don't have the play points to play like ant, grant, and their spells. And by making those cards cost less, now you'll be able to play more of them, which is good, right? Because Ant and Grey are very, very strong. So I feel like this card is great, and this is a much better card. And again, more support for 20 or less. I think this is a good one. Being at 14 HP could be spooky, yeah. Yeah, like this is a great 20 or less card, but it could also just be like generically good rune support. Like a lot of rune decks could end up playing this technically. So I am a fan of it. It seems pretty good to me. Vengeance can be a thing as long as Ganagosa exists. Like a loose demon from Mysteria? In a way, yeah. Heard someone say you can use this to get a 6-play portfolio. I mean, you can get any Runecraft follower. Except that you won't get the discount unless you're at 20 or less. But discounting not 1 but 2 followers, like that's pretty strong. That's super powerful. I think this card has a lot of potential. She's kind of cute. Got a big hat. Okay, next we got PDK in a spell, Prime Conflagration, Dreadnought 1 play point spell. This gift +1 but to all Dreadnought followers in your deck. Then deal 2 damage to a random enemy follower and then 1 damage to enemy leader. So I've seen this compared as a War's Blazing Breath, and in a way it is, but in a way it's a much better Blazing Breath. Blazing Breath does 2 damage to a follower, that's it for 1 play point. This does 2 damage to a follower, it's random, yes. But on top of that, you buff your deck and you push face damage. You can also play it in a way that, you know, you are targeting only one thing, there's only one follower you have to hit. And if you're okay with where it lands or the randomness may land, then it's a much better Blazing Breath. Plus, having more effects like buff followers in your deck is good if that's what the deck is going to do in the future. Because looks like they're still supporting Booty Buff Dragon. So I do like this card. I actually think this is fine. It's actually like fantastic. Like, yeah, your opponent has a 2/2. Well, you just have to clear it. You also push face damage, so that was good. And you buff your deck. I am actually a fan of it. Plus the, you know, the art is cool. You got PDK in there. So actually pretty hype. We'll have to see what the Dragon Legendary is, but, you know, based on what we've seen from the other cards, I think it's safe to assume that they are going to keep supporting those archetypes. Like, we're going to see more Last Word Shadow, more 20 or less Rune, more Booty Buff Dragon. And I'm down for that. I'm still down for that. Buff Dragon may be like today, but you know, if it keeps getting support tomorrow or the new expansion, it might be a thing. I do like this. You get 3 effects for 1 play point, right? We got Garven, the Iron Dreadnought, Swordcraft Officer, Legendary. It's an 8 play point 2/8. Accelerate 1, deal 3 damage to a new follower, so that's good. You know, 1 play point deal 3 is already pretty strong no matter what. So for that alone, he's good. Has Fanfare, gain plus X plus 0. Deal Y damage to a random enemy follower and then the enemy leader. X equals twice the number. Oh man, why do they do this? Every time I read a Shadowverse card, it's like you're reading an equation, right? It's like X is Y and then C, you gotta add, subtract, multiply. Like legit, every Shadowverse card is just an equation these days. Okay, X equals twice the number of different traits of allied followers destroyed this match, and Y equals his follower's attack. Okay, so you gain that number, and then what that number is at the end is what the damage is. So X equals twice the number of different traits of allied followers destroyed. So this is like Menagerie Sword, right? Basically, how many tribes could you play, right? There's like Officer, Commander, Levin, Machina Natura, if you could find those somehow. I don't know, man. But basically he would get a bunch of stats, deal that damage to a follower, and then the phase. But on top of that, he also has a good Axel, because Axel 1 deal 3 is just good. It's just weird. You can also buff this with Walfred. Oh, I see. Yeah, you can also just buff this. That's true, right? There's sword cards that just buff this naturally. So if you buff this with Walfred and you do more damage, that's interesting. It's definitely interesting. I don't know, like, man, Sword is so weird these days. Sword is so weird. I don't hate this card, I guess, but I don't know if they want to support this. July, what's up? It's like a gimmicky average Axeman. I mean, it's giving you face damage, right? You could draw it with Pruder Mythology. Yeah, give it +2/+2, right? Natura you get from Patrick and the Scout. Yeah, this is weird, man. It's actually just weird. Is there an Officer Machina card in rotation? There might be. I don't know if they want to print more cards like that. Can also buff it with Mana Grosser. Now you're thinking outside the box. X-Men has Storm. I believe he does. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't know. Double down on those type of effects. If this isn't good, I'm not surprised. And yet, just being Axel 1 deal 3 may be enough to make this playable anyway, right? If you can deal 6 damage to the board, 6 damage to the face, and it's already decent, right? Think of it the other way, chat. Imagine it's the opposite. This is Sword getting a 1 play point spell that deals 3 damage, that has a very expensive enhance, that is not great, but may sometimes be what you need, right? Also, it's an officer, so you can draw it, which is good. So, there you go. Not the worst. I don't hate the card. Glant Flower is the Forcecraft Legendary. It's a 6 play point 4/7. Accelerate 1. Put 2 fairy into your hand. If 2 of the cards were played, give them +1. So it's like a better fairy circle. And then for the actual body, it says at the end of your turn, give 2 enemy followers the inability to attack until the end of your opponent's turn and the following effect. At the end of your turn, deal 3 damage to his follower and then 1 damage to your leader. Okay, so Axel is good, right? It's like Axel Forest support. It's also fairy support, and fairies are all the rage these days. Like a better fairy circle. And if you play it, you like freeze 2 followers. And then at the end of their turn, they deal 3 damage to themselves and then 1 to your leader. This is not bad, right? It's actually not bad. Like the freeze effect might be surprisingly good if you can boardlock somebody. Like that's worth a lot. And then Accelerate is good because either you care about the Accelerate, a 1 play point card you could play, or fairy support, and like all those things are relevant. So while not the flashiest or coolest card, definitely not a bad one, right? It has nice Evo stats. I guess so. Is this better than a 2.11? Yes. Yes it is. You can also play both though. Kind of like Inori. I mean, do not underestimate the freeze effect. It might be surprisingly good. Okay, Portalcraft of course gets the clown card. Supreme Knight is a 30 play point 99. has Storm, and Fanfare destroy an enemy follower. Cool. At the start of your opponent's turn, subtract X from the cost of this card. X equals the total amount of damage through attacks and effects allied followers dealt during your previous turn. Wait, is this good? It's not good, right? It costs 30 play points. How much damage do you have to do to make this playable? Also, what if you don't draw it? What if you just don't draw this? Don't sleep on it? I'm sleeping on it. You pull this with Lieselotte. Is Lieselotte still around? I guess it has Storm. So you place this Lieselotte as a 9-drop and it summons this like a 9/9 Storm. And sure. What if you draw it? I don't know, man. Does this ever go down to like 0 or anything less than like 5 or 10? You have to do so much damage. That doesn't seem good. I'm not a huge fan. The 30 looks fake. It does look fake, right? You played in Artifacts? I don't think Artifacts wants to play this. There's no way. Combustion Demon alone is 20. Well, if there's stuff to trade into, right? If there's not, you don't get -20. Maybe it's the future of Evil Portal. Yeah, like with Artifacts, if you're doing 20 damage, you're probably just winning in other ways. As for Evil Portal, I don't know, man. You could play Sackle with it. What does Sackle say again? I don't even remember. And I glove 3 copies of it. Sackle summons a neutral from your hand, doesn't it? Doesn't it have to be a neutral? This guy has lore with absolute modesty. Ooh. Cards like these are oftentimes better than you might think. Yeah, but they're oftentimes also just unplayable garbage. Oh, because Sackle deals 8 damage to each follower at the end of the turn. Okay, so you play Sackle on turn 8. You also need another neutral follower, right? And then you subtract this. Make it cost 16 less. I don't know, dude. You can bomb with your own board. Any bomb with your own borders here? Wait a sec. Is this guy in the chat? Any bomb with your own borders here? Just add him. Just add him. The Bahamut Axle doesn't work, it's a spell. No, they mean the actual Bahamut. You have to like deal damage with your followers, right? Not your leader either. Yeah, it's specifically followers. Can do Sahakul into Bahamut. Magna 0 at 10 probably gets us to 0-2. Yeah, but don't you just win at that point? Do you need more? Don't you just win at that point? This might be like the most severe win more card ever. I don't like it. I don't think this is good. But I'm not to play it. Okay, our next card is the Angel of Reincarnation. Neutral gold, so 10 play point 7/7. Has ward. And then you return restore 7 to your leader. See, this is a Boltio card, Chad. This is the Boltio support we always wanted. Boltio brings it out. It's an 8/9 with ward, or a 10 with ward, and then bam, he heals 7. It's exactly what Boltio wanted. On top of that, it's got accelerate. So accelerate 1. You can either get a Dawn Splendor or a Seraphic Blade into your hand. Both of those are pretty good cards. And for the low cost of accelerate 1, why not? This seems great. Finally back in rotation. Yeah, this is good, right? Not bad at all. Looks straight out of Nier. It's spell boost support. You try around in Roost? You definitely can play this in Roost. I mean, it seems good, right? Seems solid. I think this is a Boltio card, that's what I'm seeing. But, you know, obviously the accelerator is good. Okay, Ominous Tyrant. It's a Shadowcraft legendary. It's a 6 play 6/6. Lose Christ. Says Fanfare, deal X damage to all enemy followers. Once again, bust out the calculators. X equals the number of allied cards that had last words when they were destroyed this match. Okay, so you deal that as AoE to all followers. Cool. And it has last words. Last words, summon a copy of a random allied follower with last words that costs 2 plague points or less. Okay, so 666, wipe the board, and then last word, summon a dude. Cool. Crystallize 2, countdown 3. At the start of your turn, if you have more hero points than your opponent, subtract 1. So if you're going second. But last words, you summon a Lurching Corpse and a Hell's Unleasher. I mean, Lurching Corpse is a fantastic follower. Doesn't get any better than that. Hell's Unleasher is pretty whatever. But, I mean, that's worth 4 play points, technically, maybe 3. So, Crystallize 2, you spend 2 play points, and you get a Corpse and an Unleasher. That's
hey guys,
good,
this is
man.
Honkin' Sky of Team
That's
PSI.
just good, right?
Team PSI, can I get some loose
Very
poggers
well.
in the chat? Thanks for the support.
17 with the 26 months. Hey, thank you so much, 17. I appreciate that. We get some loose poggers in the chat for the 17th. How you doing, 17? What's in the box? Something ominous. Wait, do you guys like this card, chat? Is this card hype? It doesn't seem bad. Right, for the Crystallize? It's good, right? It's a good last word support. Today's the 18th. It is the 18th. Yeah, you definitely want to try Last Word Shadow. Ask Shuff and he'll say it's garbage, probably. New cards, yeah. Team PSI. I do like this card. I don't think it's bad at all. It looks pretty solid to me. Yeah, it's a good card for Last Word Shadow. Take that as it is, right? Art is weird. It's like they build a city around some abomination. It is a little weird. I'm not sure I like it. I definitely like the creatures or waifus or something better. Might have skipped my push-ups. Is this gonna shake if it's animated? Good question. And then we have another Shadowcraft, this time a gold card. It's a 1 play spell. It says destroy an allied follower. Summon a copy of a random allied follower with last words that costs 2 or less that was destroyed during this match. Give it +3 and rush. If at least 5 cards with last words to destroy this match, draw 2. If at least 10 cards, summon. Wait, this is great, right? Because like you kill something, so you proc its last words, and then you summon a 2 cost, except you give it +3 and rush, which is great. You just get trade with it right away, clear a body, and then proc his last words again. And then once you're at 5, you do this and you draw 2, and then at 10 you get more. This is fantastic, right? It's just like a great card. Yeah, it looks crazy good. Again, like, is this enough to make Last Word Shadow be a deck? I have no idea, dude, but these are good cards. Surely these are good cards. Yeah, it's better than the trash 0-2 silver for sure. It seems good. Especially if like you're summoning a Lurching Corpse, imagine that. Imagine like this procs, you have a Lurching Corpse, and you put the spell on it so you kill it. And that kills something they have. And then it comes back with +3 attack. You can use it to trade against something, die, and then clear another thing. You can clear 3 things with it. Or, if your opponent doesn't have that many things, you just let it sit there. Then they have to clear it and then take, you know, the last words effect. Or just take the damage to the face. Yeah, you can't ignore a 4-2. That seems super good. Oh yeah, it's true. It can't trade. Well, okay. It's just a 4-2, but then they can't ignore it, right? If you summon something else, then you could trade. Like if you summon, I guess, any of your other last words followers, and then you proc their last word, that seems good. Considering the amount of last words cards in Shadow, is just generically good card for the future. Yeah, it seems pretty good. Doesn't seem bad. Helps to build up last words against Banish, because you can destroy them yourself. That's true, right? I don't know, man. Seems nice. Some good Shadowverse cards in here. So we'll play the mini expansion on Thursday, and hopefully that goes well. There's still a bunch left to be revealed, actually. We're still missing Dragon Legendary, which I guess is what I care about, and then some other golds. But yeah, we'll play Shadowverse mini expansion on Thursday. That's the plan, chat, on Thursday. What are the hypest cards? What are the hypest cards? Maybe the shadow cards, funny enough.